Hi, welcome to New Mexico Rising. My name is Dan. We kind of have a little packed show for you. We got Adam Scott. You might recognize his face. You've seen him from Parks and Rec and a whole bunch of other movies, but he has a new TV series on Apple Plus. Yes, it's called Severance. It's kind of where you have to cut off your brain when you go to work.
I broke protocol this morning.
Sometimes I feel like I want to do that. We talked to him all about it. And a little later in the show, we have the guys from the movie Fear that's in theaters now. They talk about how their set might actually be haunted.
No, stuff happened. Doors would open by themselves.
Slamming,
and you'd think
lights flickering.
And that's all happening right here on New Mexico Rising. New advanced technology is currently growing at a rapid pace to improve the doctor-patient experience. And Nuance Dragon Ambient Experience, DAX, is the first fully automated clinical documentation solution. This allows patients and physicians to interact naturally during the visits without the distraction of computer screens or keyboards, and it kind of creates a more engaging experience. So with DAX, patients have overwhelmingly agreed that their visits feel a little more personable, and their physician seems to be more focused on them during their visit. And today we have Josh Wilda, Lance Owens, and Ken Harper to tell us all about it. Hello.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us.
All right, can you guys explain how clinical documentation just works?
Sure. Clinical documentation is really the account of your interaction with the healthcare system. You know, usually a provider. And so when you meet with your provider, there's a lot of data that is accumulated, and that data needs to get into what we call the note. And the note then goes into the electronic medical record, which is an account over time of really our patient's story or your story. And we feel that that's very, very important because it really does kind of substantiate how critical and sacred that doctor-patient relationship really is, and how important it is for the foundation of really healthcare. And we used to do that by pencil and paper or a checklist, or we went to transcription, and then the computer entered the exam room, and that added a whole other set of challenges. And then we went to kind of a voice dictation. And now we're at this point where we're using this ambient voice, which really eliminates all of the administrative and cognitive burden of all those old ways of getting the documentation into the chart. And it does happens automatically behind the scenes, which is really freeing up time for the provider and the patient to have a more meaningful interaction.
So what are the benefits for physicians and patients using this technology?
Yeah, technology, as we all know, is meant to enhance all of our lives, but it also has unintended consequences. It can be very intrusive. It can pull attention. And so when we put computers in the exam rooms, it started to being a third entity in that room. Was a provider really focusing on the patient or focusing on the administrative duties that they had to actually get that note in the record? So the benefit of this technology is it's enhanced technology that isn't seen, but it's felt through the interaction between patient provider. Is sitting in the background, listening to the conversation, actually pulling the words of what the patient and provider is saying, not translating them from memory or from what happened earlier into the day. And it creates a better experience for both patient and provider. As Lance mentioned, from a provider standpoint, they can spend the training that they had not on documentation in and of itself, but on focusing on that care plan of what's going on with that patient who's there in front of them. From the patient standpoint, the focus, what really is that provider giving me the time that they have, the most quality time? Are they really listening? Do they really understand the conditions that are happening to me? And it really gives that trust back into that relationship. On the provider end, it also allows that provider to expand what we really want them to be. It is managing practices, managing patient panels, if you will, to the highest degree, and treating us all with individual care, but being able to manage the continuum of what is happening as far as test results coming in and out. The other care teams that are happening within that office, the providers are now able to really focus on that as opposed to the administrative burden. They're able to now spend their time reviewing that note to make sure it's clinically relevant to the care, the continuum of care for patient, as opposed to what was said in that room. Did we really talk about this? And so we're just seeing it enhance the joy back into what providers want to do, and that's treating patients. And it's able to bring trust into the room. And in my world, from a technology standpoint, is a technology that truly is enhancing the capabilities of what's going on in that room, as opposed to creating a wedge between patient and provider.
So can you share examples of how it really has positively affected the healthcare experience in a real world setting?
Yeah, I could give you many examples, you know, as a daily user of the technology. But I think what it really boils down to is that, you know, we're involved in patients' lives in their most inopportune times. You know, our patients come to us rarely to say, "Hey, I'm having a great day." You know, they're sick, they're dying, they're hurting, they're scared, or they really don't know how to feel because they don't know what's going on. And so I'm able to take these interactions and be really uh, more focused and more empathic and more involved and really more and help the patient guide them through whatever life experience it is that brought them in. And so I just think that really lends to the benefits of this technology.
All right, well, thank you three for joining me this morning. Where can our viewers go for more information about it?
Yeah, so the solution behind this is called the Dragon Ambient Experience, or DAX is how we refer to it internally. If you go to nuance.com/ambient, you can find out how DAX, the capabilities that are available, and all the outcomes it's driving for providers, patients, and ultimately healthcare organizations that are doing it.
Well, thank you three for joining me very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
If you're a lawyer and you get thrown into a world of international espionage within your first week at the CIA, things might put you on edge, I assure you. So today we have the star and executive producer of the new series, The Recruit on Netflix, Noah Centineo, here to talk about his new show and tell us all about living his first life in the CIA. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Doing great. All right. When you were doing research in your role, I got a question. Did you have to study more of like the world of the CIA or the world of being a lawyer, or how do you intertwine the two and kind of put this into your show?
Yeah, a lot of it was understanding, you know, the corporate side of the CIA, right? Being a lawyer and joining the CIA, Owen Hendricks, he joins it because he thinks it's going to be safer. So I just wanted to learn, you know, really what the back end side, the administrative, the logistical side of being a lawyer at the CIA would be. And what I found is it's really like the post office, but with secrets.
The secrets, what draws you to the secrets that you liked about that?
Well, so Owen Hendricks, fresh out of law school, instead of taking a corporate gig, he decides to go to the CIA. And one of the secrets is that he gets assigned this, it's a case, if you will, but really what it is he has to go through what they call the crazies. And the crazies is when a bunch of people send mail to the CIA threatening to blackmail the agency, saying that they know things. Now, most of the time it's absurd and nothing really is valid, but he comes across a letter from a former asset who's been imprisoned asking the CIA to exonerate her of all of her crimes, or else she's going to release information that could bring down the CIA. And that's very, very serious, and that's a case that he has to take as a lawyer very seriously, otherwise his career could go up in flames. And this is, by the way, something that does happen often.
That's what I saw an interview saying that most of the stuff in this, or a lot of the stuff that's in this series, is real. Working as executive producer and star, like, how do you kind of navigate what's real and how do you put that into this project?
You know, I really delegate all of that to Alexi Hawley. Alexi Hawley had analysts and advisors and former lawyers and former people at the CIA giving counsel. But it's true. A lot of what takes place in The Recruit happens, at the CIA, has happened, and will continue to probably happen.
So, when you're looking into the stories of behind the scenes of the CIA, what are some of the coolest things that you've learned, like, that surprised you?
It is what you think.
Oh, okay.
We got, well, for the most part, I mean, you have to be vague about these sort of things. We were able to go to the CIA 2 days ago, actually sit down with 6 analysts and 6 attorneys. We asked a lot of questions and we were given very few answers.
So, okay, just like the CIA. Hey, thank you very much for hanging out with me on the show today, bud.
Thank you.
Check out the new series, The Recruit. It's available now on Netflix. Thank you, guys. Coming up next, we chat about cybersecurity. Who in your company is the weakest link? Little will you expect that it might be the big guy on campus.
For CEOs, they actually coined the phrase whale fishing, which we try not to take personally.
Coming up a little later in the show, we got T.I., yes, the rapper. He talks about his new movie, Fear.
Everybody lost their minds over this virus.
Think I'm infected, huh? I'm not dumb.
All right, according to a new press release, the State of Security Preparedness 2023, a study released by Ivanti, they say 97% of leaders and security professionals report that their organization is as prepared or more prepared to defend against a cybersecurity attack than they were about a year ago. But 20% of those experts wouldn't even bet a candy bar that they could prevent a damaging breach. So joining us to talk about this survey and how you can find the weakest link in your organization is Ivanti CEO Jeff Abbott. Jeff, how are you, buddy?
I'm well, thank you very much.
All right, Jeff, can you tell us about the latest survey and some of the findings? People might be surprised to hear this stuff.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Ivanti surveyed 6,500 office workers, IT professionals, and senior execs around the world. And we looked at what are best-in-class organizations doing differently to secure their companies and their workforce and protect against cyber terrorism. And our report found that, as you said, 97% of organizations actually feel better to defend against cyber attacks than they did a year ago. Only 1 in 5 of those same cybersecurity professionals would back up that confidence by betting a candy bar. And even more troubling, we found that 1 in 3 C-level executives, your CEO, your CFO, and so on, had actually clicked on a phishing link. And if you're not familiar with that expression, phishing refers to a fake email designed to trick the person into giving their credentials. We were also surprised that 45% of those surveys suspect that former employees still have access to company systems and files, which could lead to potential data breaches. This is called zombie credentials. So the study concludes that while organizations are frantically preparing for 2023 with an increase in cybersecurity investments and training and so on, there are ever-changing threats to continue to be vigilant about.
All right, so if you're a CEO, don't be the weakest link and don't click on bad links. Right. All right, so how can we prepare for the cyber threats?
Yeah, by the way, for CEOs, they actually coined the phrase whale fishing, which we try not to take personally. Yeah. The scary fact is, much like those of us driving in heavy traffic every day, it's not if you're going to be hit with a cyber attack, it's when. Okay. So organizations have to ensure they have visibility into users, the applications they're using, and in particular, all the devices they're using to access the network. And the number of devices that are used to access company information continues to skyrocket. It used to be just laptops and desktops. Now people are using iPhones and tablets and even watches, not to mention the web-enabled appliances in the break room, like refrigerators and toasters. So complete network device visibility is a critical area to focus. And for protection, the idea is simple: train and invest. It's important organizations continually train to recognize security threats, to keep strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, and so on, and invest. There are fantastic security solutions that control user permissions, manage all the devices, and keep applications and browsers all updated and patched up to the latest security requirements.
All right, so what can consumers do to ensure that they are safe online and aren't a victim of one of these cyber attacks?
Yeah, so for consumers, look, gone are the days of that email from the Nigerian prince asking for money. Phishing emails have become very, very sophisticated. You have to be wary of unsolicited emails and the links they include. And in fact, consumers, pay attention to the sender's email address. If they say they're from Apple or from Amazon and you don't see that name in the email address where it's being sent from, delete it immediately. The best thing a consumer can do is to continue to have strong, unique passwords for every company and or service provider that you use, and make sure to enable that multi-factor authentication. This is where your phone has to send you a code. You then have to enter it. Yes, it's a pain, but do it. It keeps you protected. And then keep all your applications, devices, and operating systems up to date. We call this patching and cybersecurity. So when your device, your laptop, your tablet, et cetera, suggests that you need to reboot, so that it can update the security, again, do it. Just be careful when accessing free Wi-Fi in coffee shops and airports and hotels. You never know who will be on the other end. And cyber criminals are even known to spoof a hotspot to gain access to your device. This is just cyber criminal hunting grounds. And these are all things inside your control, and it will help keep you secure.
All right, so tell me about Ivanti and how does your company play a role in all of this?
Yeah, this is what we do at Ivanti. We're a global IT solution software company, and our platform called Ivanti Neurons, it's purpose-built specifically to enable companies to discover, manage, and secure every device on the network and keep it protected. We manage 40 million devices across 38,000 customers around the world.
All right, Jeff, well, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can our viewers go for more information and keep their company safe?
Yeah, I would love for your viewers to go to Ivanti.com, Ivanti.com/cybersecurity report, and they can download the report for themselves.
Thank you very much, bud. And coming up next, we have Adam Scott of Severance. Yes, you might recognize him from Parks and Rec, but this time he has a new TV series where you cut off a little bit of your brain during the day, so you don't even have to think about work when you go home. Or can you? Coming up a little later in the show, we talk about fear. Is it all in your head or is it something really to be afraid of? We talk to the guys about the new movie that's in theaters. So you know, sometimes you go to work each and every day. Wouldn't it be nice to just kind of forget everything that happens for at least the 8 hours that you're there and then go home and just kind of live your life? Well, that may not actually be a good thing. In the new TV series Severance, it's all about that. And today we have Adam Scott with us to tell us about the new show that's available on Apple TV+. How are you, Adam?
Good. How you doing, Dan?
Doing fabulous. Hey, I actually ran into you this past Sunday over at the Critics' Choice Awards.
Oh, great.
I got this fabulous photo of me and Ben Stiller, and in the background, I get a shot of you kind of scowling at me, but I can tell.
Really?
Yeah, it's really kind of funny, but the next photo I have is you laughing, so I think you kind of did it on purpose just to mess with us as you photobombed us.
Maybe so, yeah.
So, hey, I've checked out your new series. It's a great show. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, it takes place in a world where there's a technology, you can get a chip inserted in your brain, so your work life and your home life are completely separate. You don't know what you do at work when you're out in the world, and then when you're at work, you have no idea who you are out in the world. So you have two separate lives that you live. And it kind of goes from there. And this big company, Lumen, that invented the technology and uses it on their workers is where the show takes place.
I'm absolutely captivated by the show already. It's just so eerie.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, it's so eerie. It's so weird. It has like dark moments and still kind of funny moments in it. Can you kind of tell us, like when working on the show, what are some of the things that you guys kind of work through to try to create that feeling and experience for us viewers at home?
Yeah, I mean, starting a show from scratch is always challenging because you have to find the tone. You have to figure everything out as you're going, as you're making it. And, while we were making the show, we had no idea if it was going to work or not. And we all felt like, this is really fun and special and unique, but it's really weird. Like, is anyone going to watch this? So the fact that it did connect when it came out and people are into it and critics really liked it, it's just all, we're all just so grateful and so happy that, that it's connected as much as it has.
I think the reason why it's connecting is because a lot of us do go to that 9-to-5 job, and we find ourselves we find ourselves a little kind of loving moments, but hating moments. But this movie or the show really kind of shows that there are the times that you have fun with your coworkers, and it seems okay, and then it just has that awkward feeling of like, hey, yeah, it is work. We do have to do this. So it kind of reflects at home, despite being such a high sci-fi drama.
Yeah, and I think also the pandemic really, pushed people to re-examine work and their relationship to it, and so I think that resonated with people as well.
Yeah, the more I watch the show, the more I want to go back into my office and just be frustrated.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing for me, but what else do you have on the docket? What do you have that you're also working on coming up soon?
Well, we have a new season of Party Down coming out on February 24th on Starz, which is great. It's been 13 years since season 2, so we're all really excited about that. So that's coming out really soon.
Well, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I actually voted for you for the Critics' Choice Awards. I was kind of upset that you didn't win, but I really loved your performance in Severance.
Thanks, Dan.
And all of the good work that you did. So congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Good
I appreciate
work.
that.
You're welcome, man. All right, but we'll talk to you soon. Check out Severance. It's available now on Apple TV+. Adam Scott, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thanks, Dan.
Sometimes the things that you gotta fear is what's going on in your own head. And this week I got Deon Taylor, T.I. Harris, and Joseph Sikora about their new movie, Fear, that's in theaters right now. So, hey guys, how you doing this morning?
Man, we're doing great, man. Thank you for having us.
Amazing.
All right, so this movie is all about fear, and it's about an airborne sickness that's going around. How much did you guys pull from COVID and all of that to get this movie to like really resonate with people?
Well, the movie is, you think the movie is about airborne disease flying around the air, but it might not be about that. We shot this movie during the pandemic. It's one of the first movies I ever made during that time. And we did something really, really cool, man. We wanted to make a horror movie that actually had commentary to it. We wanted to make a horror movie that was elevated, something that could speak to the subconscious of people that are going to see it. And we were able to have T.I., Joseph Sikora, and the rest of the cast, King Batts, Terrence J., Annie Alonza, and just a group of beautiful people show up at a place, live in a bubble for about 15, 16 days, and do something very unique and different for the horror space. The movie is fun, it's exciting, it's scary, but more importantly, what we love about the movie right now is it'll make you think and have a conversation when it's over, because there's nothing more important or scarier on earth than the human mind. And this movie deals with just that, the human mind.
So when coming up with this film, just like seeking into the human mind and some of the fears that go along with it, like how did you guys go about like trying to pull that and portray that on screen?
Oh, there was no need to portray anything that wasn't present. You know what I mean? The fear was there. You know, the lodge that you've seen us film in, that he speaks so fondly of. Say we just had the pleasure of being there together for a collection of days. He didn't tell you it was haunted with ghosts and spirits. He did not say anything about that.
In real life.
Yeah, real life. You know what I'm saying? It's built on bodies. You see what I'm saying? So, and he just managed to leave that out of the pitch. You know what I'm saying? He told us everything but that. Then he get us there, close us in rooms by himself, and film our reaction and laugh behind the camera. So if y'all enjoy that, the idea of that, I think you should go, man, and watch this film because, don't let Deon's lies be in vain.
When you guys are on screen trying to scare the hell out of each other, like how much fun is it off screen, behind the scenes? I hear that horror movies are usually some of the most fun movies, best laughs that you ever make while making a movie.
Yeah, no, it was hilarious when Idol Goldberg was actually slamming his head on the porcelain sink. We were laughing.
No, we weren't.
No, we weren't. We were very afraid for that. We did have a good time, and I think that was captured on film. But the real fear that was existing in the country at the time, I think, was also captured on film. There was so much unknown. There were no CDC restriction guidelines, rather, in place at that time. So we were really on the cusp. Deon and Roxanne, they made up the protocol that has now been followed subsequently in the last few years, and we didn't know what was going on. There was a true fear of with the COVID at the height of what is COVID and do we get it? Because if we got one positive case, this film would not exist. You wouldn't have been able to go see it. So we had to be very tight-knit, very close, very familial. But that's captured on film. But also the fear, that real fear is captured on film too. And Tip is right, that lodge was haunted and they should have told us.
Unequivocally.
What do you mean the spot was haunted? What'd you guys see or do?
No,
What do you mean, what do we do?
no, stuff happened. Doors
Talking
would open by
doors
themselves,
slamming,
and you'd think
lights
like
flickering.
that they did that, like that the film was. Oh, did they hook up the electricity to actually have the lights flicker or
Shadows
go out?
move.
Or yeah, and they're like, no, this place is really haunted. So it's really haunted.
Yeah, so the movie was shot a little bit about 10 miles away from a city called Placerville, which is nicknamed Hangtown.
See what I'm saying?
Which is one of the most prolific places historically where witches were actually hung at the turn of the century.
They have a tree called the hanging tree where they would hang the witches.
These guys, they were a little bit
Doesn't
nervous.
this sound like important information to include?
Fine, man. It was years ago.
Don't this sound like some important
It was
information to
years
include
ago.
before you invite somebody to a place?
We're actually not lying. This is
Don't you think that
true.
this is what you should?
They're not there anymore.
You should have led with that. That's the kind of shit. You say that first. You know what I mean? We go into Hangtown, so you gonna go through Hangtown. And then, man, he said absolutely nothing about people.
But this Friday, man, only in theaters. You got to go see
Only in
Fear.
theaters.
It is a fun ride. You will have a good time. And it's a great date movie because you get the jumps, the scares, and a real conversation when it's over.
And he just gave us enough rope to hang ourselves. He just
Okay. Well, thank you three for hanging out with me this morning. Go check it out. They said it. Go see it in theaters right now. It is Fear. Thank you very much, Deion Taylor, T.I. Harris, and Joseph Sikora. Hey, T.I., when's your next album?
Man, I'm working on it. I think that my next album will definitely be my last album. It's called Kill the King. But until we get there, man, we got some new music coming associated with the film Fear. We did a record with myself, The Baby, Problems, Freddie Gibbs, E008, and we have a host of other musicians that have contributed music for the soundtrack for Fear.
Including T.I.'s son, Damani, man. Shout out to Damani,
Summer
man.
Walker.
All right.
You know what I mean? And more.
All right. Well, thank you three for hanging out with me this morning. So check it out. Fear. It's in theaters
Thank you.
right now, my friends.
You dig.
And that was it for New Mexico Rising. I want to thank everyone for being part of the show. And I actually learned a lot. This week I learned that the big guy on campus, the CEO, president, might be the biggest and weakest link for security threats. And I want to thank the guys from the new movie Fear. That was a very fun interview. It's also, go check it out. It's in theaters right now. And Adam Scott of Severance. Thank you for being part of the show. Until next week, that was New Mexico Rising. Go find us online at newmexicorising.com. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And if you got something that you want me to talk to you about, just email me. It's newmexicorising@gmail.com. Until next week, that was New Mexico Rising right here on KRQE. And up next, it's the news. Thanks, guys, for joining me.